Welcome to the Good Intention Show, coming to you live on the UI Radio Network. The Good Intention Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation at unitedintentions.org, a virtual community where you learn to create, track, and manifest your passions one intention at a time. Look for us on Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, and many more. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under United Intentions and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Yes, this is the Good Intention Show, where you will meet people who live life intentionally and hear about things they're not telling you in the mainstream media. And now, here's the truth seeker, the snake charmer, a legend in his own mind, broadcasting live all over the universe, your host, Mr. Tim Ray.
Are you in a spiritual crisis? That's going to be the question today. Yes, Tim Ray, I'm your host of the Good Intention Show. Welcome, everybody, our WDJY listeners, 101.2, as well in Kentucky at WTTA. And we are going to be discussing what's it like to be in a spiritual crisis and what's the outcome when you are in one, if you have been in one. I don't know, not many people have, or maybe you have, and you just weren't aware of it. Well, we're going to discover that and much more with our very special guest, another Tim in the studio, Tim Owens. He's a Good Intention Show. He's on the Good Intention Show, but he's also a New Thought life coach and comedian, and has been on the Awaken Atlanta show and a few other shows too. And I think you're gonna love him. So stay tuned, guys. Start sharing and get the good word out, because it's gonna be fun today. You're gonna love his story. It's gonna be out of this world, literally out of this world. So, with that being said, we have a lot coming on, guys. We have tomorrow morning, we have Awaken Atlanta. Again, Shannon McVeigh and myself will be discussing information with Tony Bradshaw on how to make millions, manifesting millions, not only through the intention process, but the decisions and behaviors that we make every day. I mean, who doesn't want money? Wahid, you want money? You want millions?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Millions and some billions.
And
too.
Billions. We have to throw billions in there now. I guess that's the new term. You know, people have no idea how much $1 billion is. There was a meme, or I think a kind of a breakdown of a quote we put up there, how much, $250 billion really is. And if you put it in the moments of time, and within seconds or within days or years, it would go all the way back, to like hundreds of thousands of years before Christ. If for every dollar, how much $250 billion is, or $1 billion is.
Wow.
Yeah, it's beyond comprehension. And we throw $250 billion over there for Louisiana cleanup, and we throw it around like it's like we know what it really means, and we have no idea how much money that really is. So, with that being said, tomorrow wake up and learn how to manifest millions of dollars. Why not? What do you got to lose, right? Later today, we have In the Burbs with Amy and Gina. Amy and Gina are the new show called In the Burbs, comedians, as well as incredible people who are out there shaking it up and making a difference. They're on Atlanta and Company and a bunch of other shows, and they know how to really get around. You're going to love the show, guys. It's a lot of fun. It's laughter. It's so much to talk about. And you can see them live, too. They always have skits, which I love as well. Then, of course, we have coming up the Good Intention Show. I'm going to be co-hosting with Susan McDowell. I think it's on Monday. Yeah, Monday next week. I miss her. She's always wonderful. And so much more to come. So without further ado, let's bring in our very special guest, Mr. Tim Owens, thought life coach and comedian. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, Tim. How you doing, bud?
Yeah, he'll be known as Tim O
That's
from
right,
this point
Tim O.
on for the rest of his life and history with UI Media Network. I had to say also, tell the audience, in addition to, that you looking to be a host on the UI Media Network.
That's correct. That's correct, yeah.
So we had a lot of fun on Awaken Atlanta the other day, didn't we?
Absolutely, man. It's always fun hanging out with you guys.
And what we are going to do, we are going to put together a Battle of the Sexes. We're going to see one could get Dina Babel back, and of course and we'll get our table set up so we can have you and I versus Shannon and Dina.
Okay.
And we'll take him to town, I think, don't you?
I think so, man. I think we make a good team.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree. The money's on the girls, but I tell you what, I like being the underdog.
Put the money on us.
There you go. So anyway, you're a fascinating dude, man, and you came out of nowhere from the Midwest, I'd say. And when I heard your story, I always thought you were cool too, funny and everything like that. But when I heard your story about what you've been through and your spiritual crisis, I'm like, wow, man, this is perfect elk for our crew here because you fit right in because we all have these beliefs and we all think for the most part beyond the veil and what the matrix of what we think reality is not. It's more of a matrix. So why don't you start a little bit with where you were at that moment, and then we'll jump into more of a history about you. Okay. At that moment when you were about to, about to jump off the ledge in the sense of spiritual crisis, what you were experiencing. Just to kind of paint that picture.
Okay, absolutely. Well, it started back around 2013. That's when stuff kind of hit the fan. My life totally started to change. I was doing stand-up comedy. I was at the top of everything. I was like, literally, my hand was on the knob of ultimate success,
Right.
I met some famous comics, done some shows. I was traveling. I was engaged to be married. Like, everything was set, I had worked 10 years to get where I was.
Right.
And all of a sudden, everything just started going south from my physical health. I had a minor surgery. My engagement fell through. I was forced out of my career. I mean, it just went completely, just everything blew up. So, and I started trying to figure out, like, what's going on here, like, what's happening, and I was always a person of faith. I've always been, a believer. I grew up Christian. My mom was Christian. My dad was Catholic, so we got to be twice as bad. We can ask for forgiveness and go to confession.
Yeah, that was one benefit of being a Catholic, It's all right. It's okay. It'll be okay tomorrow when you go confess and everything's fine, right? Back to doing business.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. So it was strange because, all of what I knew, all of what I had learned and I was taught was, you pray, give it 3 to 6 months, things usually improve and you have faith and you believe. But this particular time, nothing worked. Like, the harder I prayed, the worse it got. Like, the more I did, the more I tried to rely on what I knew and those unanswered questions that we all have, especially when it comes to faith. And life, sometimes some things we just gloss over. So I think a real true test of faith comes when you really, really have to rely on the things that you were taught. But then what do you do when they don't work? What do you do when nothing
when
works?
you get past the intellectual understanding of it and
Absolutely.
the pragmatic use of it on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely, and nothing works. So I started to.
Well, some people say, well, Tim, that you saying it didn't work, but you really didn't believe it.
Well, no, I believe.
I know, but I'm just saying people say
and
that.
That's what people think this. Like, no, when I tell you,
you thought you had faith, but you really didn't, because blah blah blah.
Absolutely. No, I believe like you cannot. I mean, I used to bring other people to the faith, and I was always the first guy to pray with someone and tell somebody, put it in God's hands. I was that guy.
Yeah.
So that's why it hurt so bad when my life went. I mean, I helped so many people. I did a lot of things, but when my life started to nosedive, all of a sudden, a lot of strange things started happening. I started having dreams. I started like seeing things, and it was just got really, really weird at one point.
Well, slow down there. Okay. So, what were you seeing?
Well, I saw myself in the dream. This was the first thing that I saw.
Okay.
When my fiance left, and that was like the last thing to go.
Right.
And she was a person of faith as well, so I thought that, okay, well, maybe we can work this out. But that was kind of the last thing. The job left. Everything just all. Now, imagine I was making about $100,000 a year.
Right.
And I lost it all. Credit, cars, the whole thing. So it was awful.
Yeah.
But anyhow, when I started to see was I had a dream about myself back in 2014. It was about 3 people, and to make this a long story short, I helped all 3 of those people in the dream. I mean, I made a video about it. I described it vividly, what I saw. In each scene that took place, it was me helping them. And then the last scene I saw was myself inside of a huge place. It was kind of like I was like a book signing, and my brother was there. It was a whole line of people. My brother was in line. I was like, what is he doing there? Then I saw 2 of my childhood friends in the dream, and as I was leaving, I walked up to them and they said, "Hey man, how you doing? Congratulations." I said, "Congratulations on what?" It was like, "You really helped that guy," and it was some celebrity guy that was there who they said that, "Well, yeah, he's here because he helped them." And it was like it was weird to me, but I saw and then when I saw the guy at the table, it was like. That I talked to that was a famous guy.
Right.
I didn't see his face, but I saw his arms. Like it was me that I saw. Like I saw this in the dream. So when I woke up the next day, I felt as if like, okay, well maybe I'm meant to help people. I'm meant to do something on a grand scale. And let me back up a little bit. Right before that happened, the night before, I was on with a girlfriend of mine, person of faith.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I was like venting about how upset I was and how I feel like this is unfair.
Yeah.
Why is my life, why am I rolling down the hill and stuff? And that was the night before I had that dream. So I felt like, God has talking to me and was kind of showing me like, hang in there, even though as bad as it was.
Right.
And that it changed me, and it put me on a path to try to figure out, okay, what is going on here? So it took me about 2 years to meet someone who actually identified I was in a spiritual crisis.
Wow. So that's fascinating. But so why do you think a lot of people go through this and don't even realize it, I would assume. But why do you think that, I shouldn't say why do you think, but what did you believe ahead of time about faith and God versus after your crisis now? Because I'm sure the essence of having faith in a higher power didn't change, but it was perhaps maybe the details of what you believed, how it was unfolding in your life, because apparently there had to been a difference.
Yeah, okay. This is when the break came for me, like the real breaking, you could say, my mind.
Yeah.
Was when everything that I believed and everything that I taught, when none of it worked, I didn't know what to do. And it put me in a state of panic of like, what is going on? Like, if I'm a good person and I've done all these good things, and why is this happening? And that's what started the mental break. So to give you like the textbook definition of what the crisis is. So, a spiritual crisis is a form of identity where an individual experiences drastic changes to their meaning system, their unique purposes, goals, values, and attitudes and beliefs.
Right.
So it may cause a significant disruption in psychological and social occupational functioning. So all of that happened to me. So I realized that I'm going through a spiritual crisis.
Right.
And once that took me 2 years, I met a lady. She was a shamanic teacher in the
Did you ever do you ever go on like any psychotic drugs or any depression drugs or any anxiety drugs?
No, I didn't.
Good for you.
No, I didn't. I didn't take any drugs like that. But I couldn't sleep. I had insomnia for about 6 months. I could not sleep. Alcohol. I could not drink alcohol. I used to like to smoke cigars. I couldn't smoke cigars. It was like literally, from a faith standpoint, God took like you're not going to have any comfort from this.
Yeah, there's no distraction.
No, there was no distractions. I couldn't date. My dating life was horrible. It was awful. And for me being a comic, I used to perform and talk in front of hundreds and thousands of people for about 6 months. I had panic attack. I couldn't go out in public.
Wow.
I could not be in crowds.
Man, he shut everything down.
Everything. I couldn't go in crowds. So I tried to go to a music festival and I couldn't go. I literally had a panic attack. I had to go home. So it was a lot. And it really just brought me in and made me really go inside and look at myself.
Wow, that's fascinating because I wonder how many folks have these experiences, but you just equate it to like, oh, I'm just having a bad day, or I'm having a bad year, and you really literally, but yours is different in the sense that you were shut down on every level of distraction,
every level.
And so I guess now you look at it as from it was a hand of God or it was a higher power actually saying, no, Timo, you're going to have to go through
Absolutely.
this.
And I tried to get back to stand up. Like, how people try to give you the good advice.
Yeah.
Well, just get back on the horse. You'll find love again and you'll get another great career and everything else. So when I tell you I put all my efforts into doing that, I went to a comedy open mic and I went on stage for the first time and I froze. I could not even remember my material. And I went outside. I was like, what is going on? And I could not do comedy. I could not do anything. I couldn't even watch comedy for about 2 years. Nothing.
Wow.
I packed up all my comedy DVDs and CDs, and I wouldn't even talk to anyone about it. It was that horrible. And no one around me knew, like, the story of Job from the Bible, basically. I basically lived the trials of Job. And what was so horrible was friends of mine, the same thing that he experienced, people coming to him and saying, oh, something you must not be telling, or you must have done something. And my fiance, who I had, she left and did not speak to me. Didn't give me the ring back, didn't speak, didn't talk for 2 years.
Wow.
Like nothing. He shut every single thing down.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, man. When we get back from break, I want to pick up from there because, I mean, your fiance was like, I can't handle this or whatever the case may be, or she was part of it or led you to that. I don't know. Your job, you lost your job. Your passion of comedy was lost, and then you finally got to a point where I guess you're helpless. And let's lead off when we get back from break of that helplessness and what it looked like for you, because I'm sure so many people out there realizing that you may not be in that extreme situation right now, but you may be in a situation where you're having these variables and these signs are hitting you. And there is hope, though, and that's what the best part about this show and what the best part about having you here, Timo, is we'll talk about the hope later on when we get back. So Hopefully, you'll be right there when we do get back. Stay tuned.
This is Kurt Arsenault of Arsenault Advisory Group. Most of us never think we'll get divorced. Unfortunately, half of marriages will end in divorce. Children are always the first priority, but getting your finances in order will need to be addressed. The first step is to get an assessment of where you are financially. Will you keep your home? Do one or both of you have a 401k or pension? Who will pay for the kids' college education? Will you split your debt liabilities? These are just a few things to consider when thinking about divorce. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com and download our free ebook titled 6 Things to Do Before You Get Divorced. Don't wait. Visit arsenaultadvisory.com today.
All right, we are back with Tim O, who is the New Thought Life Coach for United Intentions Foundation. Why not? And also comedian. And we were describing his spiritual crisis before we left. And he was at a point where every chair is being pulled from underneath him. And you just found yourself, I guess, on your butt and wondering what's next. Were you at those moments when you just crying like, God, what's going on?
Absolutely. I went through those moments, and I think the biggest shift.
Did you ever not believe in God? Did you ever just not there must not be a God during this period of time? I
tell you what, it was very tough. It was very challenging. When I tell you my faith was tested,
yeah,
it really was. And I had a lot of dark days, and I really was questioning everything. I didn't know what to believe at one point. Like, what have I done, and why is this happening? And I went through all of that.
Wow. Okay, so do you remember that moment when you were in your floor or wherever you were when you were at the darkest time in your life?
Absolutely. What happened during that time period, I remember praying, and I remember thinking about my grandfather and my loved ones who had passed. And I remember one morning in particular, my grandfather was really on my heart, really heavy. And I went through the old photo book and I found a picture of him and I. And it was almost as I felt his presence, It was like he was a very strong man, and I felt like I know it sounds strange, but I really felt like he got me through that moment. And just to believe again, and to really 100% believe that it's going to be all right, no matter how dark it was. Then I had a dream about him. I dreamed a lot.
Yeah.
And in my dream, I saw my grandfather, and he's called me Tim when I was little. And in my dream, he said, Tim, come over here and talk to your granddad. Tell me what's going on.
Wow.
He told me that in my dream, So I felt like, okay, it gave me, and then I had an angelic encounter as well.
Well, what was that about?
The stories where people say they had car trouble and a stranger appeared and they disappeared.
Or like when the little kid's about to cross the road and this person just picks them up and puts them on the other side.
Absolutely. I had that encounter.
You're kidding me.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Do tell.
I had that encounter. I was this was about 2 years later, because see, this process took me about 4 years to go through totally. So
this
was a long time, and I moved to 3 different states in 4 years and traveled, and I kind of stepped out on my faith again and went. So let me get to the story.
Yeah.
So one day I was clearing out my storage shed. I just got some bad news about this position I was applying for, and I was in one of those moments. Oh God, please, why me? Why again? Why can't I catch a break?
Right.
So I'm driving down this highway now, just past 2 cities. It was on the interstate where you pass like 2 cities, and you get the third one, then it's the fourth one.
Yeah.
So as I get to the second exit, I pull off. I see a guy in a van. Right. I could describe him. He had on all black. He had on a bandana and on some sunglasses, and he was in a van. He had right as I saw the van, I saw the emergency flashes come on. Huh. And okay, and me being me, I said, even though I was going through stuff, let me stop and see if this guy needs some help.
Wow.
So I pull over, ask, hey, how you doing? Need some help? And the guy says, yeah, I do. I ran out of gas. And can you get me some gas? I said, okay.
Did he have like did you have long beard? Did he look like Jesus?
No, he didn't. No. Actually, he was an older black guy, African American guy,
okay.
And he had, he had on all black. He had on some sunglasses, bandana, and he said, yeah, can you give me some gas? I said, okay, sure. I said, where you headed? This guy goes, I'm headed, what you call it? He couldn't say where he was going. I was like,
these angels, you got to get a little more up to date on what's the latest things on earth, all right?
Seriously. So he couldn't tell me where he was going. So I assumed, I said, are you going to Mantino or Kankakee? He said, Oh, yes, somewhere down there. So I said, okay, well, let me give you a ride. So I go to my truck. I started taking the stuff out because I was moving out of my storage unit.
Yeah.
So I had stuff in the cabin in the back. So I started removing.
Now, this wasn't a dream. This is real life.
This was real life.
Okay.
This was real life.
Sure.
This was real life, folks.
All right.
So I started taking the things out of my passenger side so I can let him get in the car. And he said, you know what? Why don't you go and get it? And he gave me a little gas can. He opened up his wallet, and he had tons of money in his wallet. And he gave me a $50 bill and said, I'll trust you to bring it back. So as I'm driving, I'm like, this is kind of strange because if he came north, he just passed 2 cities and a gas station. If he's going south, he's just like a mile or 2 from another gas station. So I go get the gas, fill it up. I come back to the van. And as I'm pulling up, I pull behind him. He gets out and he says, oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I give him the gas can and I give him the change from the 50. I got like $6 worth of gas. Yeah. He said, no, just keep it. Don't worry about it. Just keep it. And he did me like this on the shoulder. Keep it. Don't worry about it. Okay. So as I'm driving off, I said, you know what? Maybe I should have. I didn't wait and see if he had drove off.
Right.
So I said, let me turn around. I went not even a mile down, turned around, came back. He was gone. Van was gone, completely disappeared. So that don't sound strange at first, right? But then as I came back, I started thinking about what the van looked like. And I said, you know what? It's kind of strange. This was a van. It was an old van, looked like about a 1982 van.
Wasn't the Scooby-Doo van, was
no,
it?
it wasn't. It was about a 1982 van.
Yeah.
No license plate. Grass all around the side of the van. No windows. Plywood, dirty plywood in the windows and in the back, to the back windows of the van and the side windows. And the front of the van was the only one that had a mirror that was a windshield that was cracked. This van had not even been on the highway.
Right.
And where he was coming from, there's no way this guy would have not have got stopped by the police. Because I know his areas. The police would have stopped him.
Yeah.
And he was nowhere to be found. And he was in a van that looked like it came out of a junkyard.
Right. Like somebody was living in it.
It was gone. It was gone. I drove probably 5 miles that he wasn't that way. And he surely didn't go back the way that I came from. And you can only go north or south. There was no other way to go.
Right.
And it was gone. And I wasn't even gone, not even a minute. As soon as I drove off, I said, let me go back and make sure he started the van.
That cash didn't disappear, did it?
He was gone. There? But what happened after that?
Yeah.
When he touched me, I was in such a low moment in my life. It was like it gave me like a spark that I didn't have. Like I was empty, and I felt like you can go on. Like it's gonna be okay. It was like a personal. It blew my mind. Yeah. It blew my mind, and when he touched me, it gave me that.
Yeah,
it did. It was gone, and then I started looking up stories of anyone, and I looked plenty of stories online.
Yeah,
of that happened, and I had an encounter with an angel. Sure did.
That, Tim, is phenomenal. What an exciting moment. So it's because at the time when you're looking at the van, you're in your zone. Everything seemed normal. Yeah. And then when reality settled in, you're like, there's no way that van could have been, and this guy didn't know where he was going. And then he's like, you go ahead, and because you came back.
And he had a wallet full of money. And this guy, I said, he wasn't like, didn't have on a suit. He had a wallet full of money. Didn't know me from a hole in the wall. Right. Trusted me, give me $50, trusted me to go. And I'm like, this is strange. He had all this money. Yeah. He just passed the service station.
So why do you think he did that? If you're looking back, do you think he was testing you?
I honestly, that's a tough question, Tim. I've never been asked that. Yeah. I just feel like God knew the moment. He knew the place I was in. Yeah. And he knew I had been through so much. See, this was about 2 years later. Right. And something happened, me having to move out of my storage, and I got some bad news. So it put me back in that place that I had came so far from. Right. And it was like, I don't want you to go back into that place. Right. So that moment and that when he touched me, it gave me what I needed.
Wow.
Sure did.
That's fascinating. And what a way to document that too, because in your mind, it's probably just like something that you just can't categorize. You can't put into a rational thought of why it happened, other than the obvious that an angel came down and touched by an angel. I mean, this
that's true.
This is not. You can't make this up. So do you know which angel it was? Was it Raphael? Was it Michael?
I wish it was. I could have got an autograph. Or Michael give him the sign of the shield and the sword.
Can I get that to go? If I could show some people this.
Absolutely.
Do you ever think about that? Because it sounds like maybe it was an archangel.
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Tim. Really
Right.
not. I'm not sure. But just to fast forward ahead.
Sure.
Anyhow, I took a spiritual trip.
All right.
I met a few spiritual teachers that I studied under.
Okay.
I got in that dream I had of reaching people and healing people. That's what led me down my path of life coaching. And I found a wonderful teacher who trained me. I was initiated. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen people possessed by entities. I've seen a lot
Hold
of
on,
stuff.
slow down, because this is fascinating. So here you go from touched by an angel, probably an archangel, in the Scooby Doo van, and wondering what's going on, and now all of a sudden you're kind of, I guess, you're open to
Mhm.
beyond the veil.
Absolutely.
Like, we have our reality here, limited bandwidth, what we see, five senses, and then beyond the veil is that reality that goes everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
So now all of a sudden you're telling me that you have like some of the dark sides coming in, and since they know that you're woke,
Mhm.
so what happened then?
Okay. Well, when that started happening, I started going down. I started exploring. I started studying other religions. I started looking into what's really going on. Like, what am I missing? What am I not seeing? But even though in my heart I'm Christian,
Yeah.
but I felt like that God wanted to show me that there's things that you need to know, that you need to understand. If I want you to serve my purpose and do what I need you to do, I need you to be fully aware of everything to see what was going on. So that would lead me down the path to coaching. And also, I've always had the gift of spiritual discernment. See,
Okay.
I didn't know what it was at the time.
Right.
That's the difference, to be able to tell whether it's God working or whether it's the enemy working. So I've always
Right,
had it because
right,
people have always
right.
called me for
Because
everything.
you do believe there's a spiritual warfare going
Absolutely,
on
100%.
beyond our reality.
I know for a fact, without
Right.
question,
Wow.
without question.
And so apparently, so you had this gift. I think that one of the archangels has that gift, or somebody was saying that, the gift of discernment between the demons and the angels, right?
Absolutely.
So what happened then? So build a picture of how this demons or this negative energies got into your life.
Well, how I became aware of it and how it became into my life is the more spiritual I became, the more I cleansed my body from a spiritual standpoint and started living.
Spiritual meaning what? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis that you did? Besides taking baths.
Okay. Well, just making sure that you understand the power between good and evil, and
Right.
not opening yourself up to a lot of negativity, and also not affiliating with people that do have entities attached to them,
Right.
and allowing them to attach to you, because that is a real thing. So you have to. So with that, it's like spending time in nature, doing certain things to cleanse the space and energy in your home,
Right.
and just really being careful about who you let close to you. And as soon as you realize there's something going on, because there's signs all day long in people that you can tell that they have some sort of issue or something's going on. Because
Right,
when
right.
a person passes, and I can tell you this one from when a person is taken, murdered, for example, a shot and taken out of their body,
Right.
we all believe that we have a spirit,
Soul. Yeah,
a soul,
souls,
spirit
yeah.
inside of us.
Yeah.
So if a person is in the vibrancy of their life and they're taken out, that energy has to go somewhere. That spirit has to go somewhere. So if you're a person who's, and I'm not being preachy, but
Yeah.
if a person is, living a life of sin, I have to use those words because that's what most people understand.
Sure.
They're a perfect vessel. A spirit or demon, they do not have a body. So they need a body, a vessel to do things and to enjoy things that they've done when they had a body at one time.
Wow.
So if you're not spiritually protected, you're wide open.
right.
They'll just jump. So if a person is shot down and murdered and they're in a height of their vibrancy,
Yeah.
what does that? That's why some bad neighborhoods have the same reoccurring problem.
Right.
Because those spirits are still there. They just go from person to person to person, and the violence keeps up because
Yeah.
no one's coming in there. In today's society, we don't attack
address the
we don't address
spiritual
it.
aspect of our nature and the
We don't.
possession aspect either.
We don't.
This is fascinating, and I really we got to take this to the next level, because this is exactly where I think our education system, our parenting, our schools, we need to address the reality of beyond our reality of what's going on, because I think once we understand our spiritual nature, that we are multidimensional beings
100%.
living in this limited five sense body, right? That we are and easily can be manipulated by entities and energies outside of this bandwidth. And then we can start making decisions clearer and cleaner of what we want in our energetic field. So fascinating conversation, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. I promise you that. And we're going to talk more about possession and what it does and what you can do if you don't realize subtly that you're acting differently, whether alcohol induced or something else, but what you can do to basically rid of these energies and entities in your life, around you, within you, everywhere, right? Fascinating conversation here with Tim Owens, guys. He's New Thought life coach and a new host be brought on into the UI Media Network family. So, wow, Tim, thank you very much for coming on and
pleasure
sharing this.
being here.
Right back, guys. More to come.
Hi, this is Amy and Gina from In the Burbs, and we want to talk to you about your roof. Do you have a sexy roof?
If you have wind damage or your roof is older, or are you looking to purchase a home and want to make sure the roof is in good shape, you need to contact Roofing and Exterior Solutions. #SexyRoofs.
#SexyRoofs will inspect your roof, take pictures, and give you a free estimate, and they will handle the insurance process.
#SexyRoofs have been in business for over a decade and have always been right here in Georgia.
Their crews have been with them forever. They really are experts for anything roofing. Contact roofingandexteriorsolutions.com or find them on social media at #SexyRoofs.
All right, welcome back. We're here with Tim Owens, Tim O from this point on, New Thought life coach, and so much going on. We left off with his spiritual crisis, his awakening, his angel interaction. Now we're talking about the possession and energies and the spiritual warfare, not just within our crisis, within ourselves, but the spiritual warfare going on out with beyond the veil, beyond the five senses, which is occurring all the time. And I try to explain to people about this for the first time, and they get very
Scared.
Scared, but also confused, because you want to hear me that?
Okay.
Also confused because they can't understand how things that are invisible, we assume they're not there. But just kind of always use the analogy. Think of a dog, all right? And a dog hears. They have a much better hearing than humans. But you hear that dog whistle, right? But so they hear a sound that we can't hear. So we don't acknowledge the sound to be true or alive or real and part of our life in our bandwidth, right? But their listening bandwidth is like here, ours is here. So when we don't acknowledge it, does it mean that that sound is not occurring? It's just that we can't hear it. So same thing with the ghosts and these things beyond the veil, that they're there. We just can't see it. We just can't smell it. We can't five sense experience it, but it's there. And so when we expand our bandwidth of our five senses, that's when certain people like you, others like Teal Swan and the rest who have these extrasensory perception skill sets, they see, smell, hear, know, whatever it may be, because their bandwidth has been expanded. It's as simple as the way I could explain it. So here we are. Your bandwidth is being expanded, right? And you're now seeing entities show up. And are you seeing them? Are you hearing them? What's your experience with them?
Yeah, I've had a few experiences. I had one apartment I lived in. I've had different things will happen in the home. Actually, and people, my friends back home just don't beat me up for this. But I mean, because
hey, call us and tell us all about Tim Owens. 678-495-4345. Put that number up there.
You got questions? Yeah, call.
I want to hear all the dirt on Tim Owens.
No, not that. But in all honesty, though, it happened. It was a period where I couldn't listen to music. It would my frequency changed, and it would like hurt my ears. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't listen to it.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't hear it. But
now, do you think that was your good angels helping you, or the bad energies trying to get in and mess with you?
Once I realized that I was on the right path, that I was supposed to do this work and reach people and help people, things started to lighten up. Things started to change. It was almost as if the stuff was happening to. Of course, the negative comes to try to stop you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad because I was on a path. I was following my intuition. I was wide open, and I told you I have the gift of discernment, which I've always had.
Right.
Even a little bit of foresight in there as well. But my gift for discernment, it gives me I just know things, and This is people don't understand. They would ask me, well, how do you know? I can't explain to you. You know, you have to look it up. Look at the spiritual gift.
Well,
of
they call
discernment.
that they have the omnis. You know, the omnipresent, is omni knowing. You know, like you just knew, or not clairsentient. What is it called?
Clairvoyant and omnipotent, I think.
Yeah,
it's clairvoyance.
Clairvoyant. I think clairvoyant
Okay,
just is a knowing. Yeah. It's fascinating. So you have this knowing, right?
Mhm.
And what are some things that you knew? What did you experience with these entities?
Well, you know, okay, I won't really say with entities like that because, you know, I didn't particularly hear something from this person or anything like that, but it was just inside of me. Like
Right.
I'll give you an example. If someone would come to me about a business deal,
Yeah.
and I would say that's not good, it's not going to work, and they'll say, well, how do you know? I say I don't know. 3 months later, they lose everything. Okay. When I was doing stand-up comedy, I had an idea how I was doing shows and formats. Actually, before, like right now, your show, what you do, about 10 years ago, I was doing interviews, 30 minutes, hour. People were telling me, oh, that's too long.
Yeah.
No one wants to see that.
Yeah.
Now it's
It's
standard. It's standard. And so 10 years ago, I was doing that. I was told that. Okay. Even with, I did a lot of things, but I didn't know how I knew. And then later on, people will say, man, I don't know how you, and I could read people like the back of my hand. I can tell a person can come into a room, they can give a speech or a lecture, and I can sit there and go, that person's full of it. Wow. And they say, how do you know? A week later, they found out that person's full of it. So I've always had it. People will always call me for advice and always call me and ask me things. And
this is prior to your spiritual crisis?
I had that before my spiritual crisis. After, it became
more intense.
Way more intense, to where I don't miss a beat.
Right.
Everything, even moving here, even meeting you, is like, it felt right. You know, and if a person has some sort of entities or attachments, I can feel it. When they're around me, it's instantly, like, you know this. If you're a person of light, of God, now I'm not saying anybody out here is not, I'm not a saint or nothing like that. Yeah. But when you have God in your life and you're a person of light and you're a light being, a light worker, whatever you want to call it, and you cleanse your body and your spirit, and you put the Holy Spirit of God, in you, light of God in you, then that means there's no space for entities. You know, you cannot be possessed. You're protected. And there's different spiritual protection techniques and stuff. You have to call my life coaching line to get that stuff. But anyhow, there's techniques so they can't come in. So if you encounter an individual who has negative entities or demons attached to them, it comes out. Like some places I go into, people who I never even met, they cannot stand me. And they'll act out, they'll show themselves because the demons in them, they cannot hide it. Like light and dark don't mix. So it's almost like The Exorcist. When the priests come in the room, that's how when a person has entities in them, especially if you have the gift of discernment, you can sense and you can see it. Yeah. Those people cannot stand you. There's people right now to this day who cannot stand me for no reason. But when I come, it's my very
because they have certain energies, entities around them, feeding off of them that control them.
Absolutely,
literally possess and control them. That are like, no, you can't be around.
As soon as I show up, you know what breaks? So they act out, mean, rude. Say all kind of things. Yeah. Absolutely.
I wonder how many interactions on a daily basis people like that go through, and you don't even realize.
It's awful, man.
Yeah,
it's awful.
It's almost like it's probably more common than not, right?
It's awful. Jobs. I had trouble in jobs. Going to a place is always one.
Right.
Or two, every single time. And they'll do everything they can to make it hell for me there because it's like they cannot, that's how it is.
That's why a lot of people are law of attraction. A lot of people who, just people attracted to the UI Media Network. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of folks pick up on the energy that we give off, collectively. And I think that it's building up even more and more as we go forward. But I think where I remember who was this? Was David Wilcock was telling me the story where they were in this underground cavern or tunnel or this workplace, one of those not secret societies, but one of those secret space programs, right? Mm-hmm. And all the generals were walking down in there, right? And the last general came out, and there's all these aliens that were working on humans or doing these testing, whatever. And they all ignored every general who was walking by. And this new general who had never been down there before was the last one there. And all of a sudden he walked up. All these aliens, these grays, were just freaked out, looked up, and they ran in the other room. They ran away. And they're like, to the point where that general was asked to leave. Mm-hmm. And so later on, one of the other generals was talking to that general, and he said, hey, what was going on with that? And he said that, I don't know, but when I saw what they were doing to humans, I asked for I asked for the power of Christ to cover me and protect me and to protect everyone here. Mm-hmm. And it's almost as if they felt that. They felt that energy from that general who saw this alien underground, secret program going on, that they couldn't be in his they couldn't even be in his presence.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fascinating.
true.
It always stands out in my mind before that happened. So you're telling me you're experiencing the same thing.
Dating is the worst. It is a.
That explains a lot of the possessed girlfriends I've been with.
But it is because it's the same. Like, you know how you meet I'm not picking on women, but I'm just saying in general because I'm a guy. I got perspective.
Yeah.
If you meet a lady who says she's been with this bad guy and that guy and this guy, that guy, right?
Yeah.
And you may meet her. She may be a person of faith. She may go to church every Sunday, but guess what? She's never been spiritually cleansed. She hasn't been baptized. She hasn't accepted Christ in the way to remove any entities.
Right.
So all those bad guys she's been with, all that stuff they dropped off, when you meet her, you wonder why she come out of the bag on you.
Right.
That's because she still has those attachment entities. It doesn't matter. You can go to church every Sunday. And people can get mad about this, but it's the truth. If you do not be cleansed spiritually, them demons and spiritual attachments will be going to church with you, sitting right with you Sunday. They really will, because
take that money out of that coffer, would you?
That's the truth. That's the truth. Because in my community, this stuff is taboo, man.
No one talks about it.
If you mention demons, my house, possessed, whatever, you're the devil.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as let's get you help. Let's go see a priest. Let's get an exorcist. No, we don't do that.
Well, it's funny because even like the Catholic religion, how they go to the exorcisms and all this, the famous movies and all this, it's all kept quiet. It's all low on the low down, right? If that's the right word. And it's all, it's all kept quiet. But why? If this is the spiritual nature of what we're going through, we are often attracting great energies around us and also attracting negative energies around us. Why would this not be something that every church or every supposedly spiritual venue, why would they not be sharing this information? Because there can't be two different types of spiritual warfares going on, or 3 or 4. I mean, there's probably one giant spiritual warfare going on. And it's for the human soul of persuading. Because I do think there is a prime directive all involved in this, that we can't directly be manipulated, or we can't be direct because we have free will. And so we have to be persuaded through addiction, through sex, through drugs, through immediate gratification, all these different venues and ways of doing it, and getting involved in it. But I think that's part of what you're experiencing.
Absolutely.
So here it is. Did you find out what energies were around you? When you had your spiritual crisis, was it those negative energies around you then, or they left then?
Well, honestly, they left when I connected, when I started praying more and I got more into faith, and I did call out the St. Michael, particularly. But
see, if I had to call my archangels, I'd call Michael, man. He's the bad. He's the bad dude, man. He's the one who kicks butt, right?
Absolutely. And so it's the thing. So I feel like by my dad being Catholic, me and my dad had these conversations.
Yeah.
And we would talk about these things.
Yeah.
And and he knew my faith. My dad passed in July. And him and I were close, and we would talk about these things, especially after my transition when I was going through, and sometimes he would joke on me a little bit, but he would listen to me. He would say, "You know what, son? It makes a lot of sense what you're saying." But it's just people, they don't
want to go there.
They don't want to go there. They don't want to go there.
And I understand a certain degree, because a lot of it is you can't have scientific fact. You can't put your finger on it because you can't use your 5 senses. You can't use your 5 senses on that for the most part. Some people can, but most of us can't. And I understand it's scary to go there because now you're going in from something you could touch, smell, see, to an unknown of just guesswork.
But how can you? My question to you, anybody out here, how can you be a person of faith, read the Bible, know the Bible,
know something's going on beyond the veil,
but not believe all of it? Like if Jesus himself believed in demons and cast out demons, even trained his apostles how to perform exorcism, a lot of people don't know that part.
Right.
Like a lot of them could do what he did. So Christ didn't say, when I'm gone from this plane, there'll be no more need for exorcisms. There'll be no more need to cast out demons. No more need to spiritually cleanse your house, protect your house. None of that. So you have to believe it all. You cannot just pick and choose the good things that you want to believe out of the Bible and not believe all of it. Right. There's demons all over the Bible. That's not just me talking. You can Google mentions of demons in the Bible, and you'll see plenty of passages and everything about it. So you have to believe it. So what makes a person today think that you're not,
under the same circumstances,
that you can't be a victim, or you may not need that, or I know a house where every couple that moves into this house, they get divorced. I know three different couples that moved into the same house,
Wow.
and all three of them got divorced because all they done was fought like Tom and Jerry in the house,
Right.
in that particular house, because them bad entities were still there, and all they do was a man and a woman. All they do was just jump on the next man and woman, and
Right.
every single one of them
Right.
fight that.
They possess them. And possession comes in some very different manners, some direct full bodies and some more subtle possessions. So I that we could discuss too when we get back from this break as well, because I do think there's something to this, Tim Owens, that when we are aware of this, one, we not only we could be take charge and clear ourselves, but we could also start assisting others, which I think is fascinating. Guys, we're talking to Tim Owens, New Thought life coach, comedian, and spiritual crisis survivor. And we're hearing all about his story. It's just been a fascinating story and more to come. I want to talk a little bit more about that and also possession and how it's seen in many ways that we don't even realize what's going on. Guys, do not get lost out there. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. 1 minute.
Hi, I'm Amy.
And I'm Gina from In the Burbs, where we talk about marriage, divorce, empty nest, and all the rest.
Basically, everything from motherhood to menopause.
The show is packed with experts, games, headlines, comedic guests, and much more.
We would love to hear your mom confessions, dating deal breakers, and the no shame hashtag game, where we take a humorous look at life's failures and fiascos.
We're in this together. We would like you to join us every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern on the UI Media Network. Catch us live on uimediaapp.com, WDJY 99.1 FM, WTTA 101.2 FM, Facebook Live on United Intentions, Spreaker, and many other platforms.
You can also watch us on YouTube, Binge Networks TV, and listen wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
If you want to connect with us, call us live at 678-495-4345.
Or comment on our Facebook page, In the Burbs.
There is life outside the city.
Oh, I love that commercial, Amy and Gina. There is life outside the city. Yes, all you inside the perimeter folks here in Atlanta, come on out to the burbs. At least check them out today. I think at 4 o'clock today, right? There you go. All right, so we were left off with Tim Owens. He's a New Thought life coach. Guys, you want to reach him too. You like the CupidSarrow.Foundation.com?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. CupidSarrowFoundation.com. Also have my life coaching line you can call. I do consultations, only 15 minutes.
Sure.
Very
sure.
reasonable. Actually, I can answer all questions. As a relationship expert.
Yeah.
That's my area of expertise. If you got that man or woman out there you think got some things going on, give me a call. I can help you discover it.
There you go. And not only that, have a few laughs at the same time.
Absolutely.
All right. So we left off on possessions and how possessions can be very subtle, very direct. I mean, I know I've interviewed people. Can't remember her name now, but she would channel Mother Mary, and she would do what she calls a full body possession. That entity would come in, Mother Mary supposedly, whether if you believe it or not, would come in, take over her body, and then Mother Mary would be speaking directly to me. And there's some great shows on that on the past. You guys want to check out some of those interviews. And I believed it. I mean, for whatever reason, I believed it. And then there's very subtle possessions. Like you said, maybe people who drink alcohol, they get weak on their presence, or people who do drugs.
And then that entity takes over.
And the entities come in, like you say, in that house where people get divorced all the time. There's this probably a wife-husband couple, probably a double homicide or suicide, whatever, and they come in and they subtly possess these other people because so these entities know that to have that human experience they have to get inside a human body, right?
Absolutely.
And this brings up so much information here where I think I was at Gen 6, I think, with Steve Quayle a few weeks ago in Branson, Missouri, and they were talking about the new IA, why this artificial intelligence and the robots and everything's so, and this human hybrid of a human and a robot is so big these days. Because supposedly their agenda, which they're saying, this is going to sound crazy to you and everyone out there, but if it's true, then it should be a little alarming to you, that they're creating these hybrid AI humans, right? One, because they're more controllable, but two, they are becoming vessels for all these demonic energies and these fallen, right? Whatever you want to call them, don't have a body like this, who are in the other dimensions or are waiting, who do come in and periodically possess people temporarily until they find the light within them and they kick them out. But they're creating this AI beings so they could come in and actually possess and take over here in our three-dimensional reality.
Wow.
So here it is, you have these AI hybrids that are now being operated by demonic beings. What if that's the true story? What if that's really what's going on?
Wow. It's fascinaning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really fascinating. And I think the more we deny that this battle was going on, these things exist, we just giving them free reign. They can just do whatever.
Wow. Especially on such a mass scale. I mean, they could have hundreds of thousands of these AI production popping them out, kind of like Borg, like the Borg in Star Trek. I hate to bring it back again,
absolutely.
but it's literally like the Borg.
Like one thing I'll tell you. When people we're adults, sex is normal. It's a part of our, to reproduce, and that's who we are.
Yeah.
But a person that has addictions to sexual perversion,
right,
who has to be choked and all these other crazy things or whatever, that's not normal.
Right.
That's not natural.
Right.
If you cannot be pleased with your spouse or whatever without these extreme forms of things going on,
right,
that is not normal.
So you're saying that is probably that's probably the moment of possession where they come in at the moment, maybe not the whole time, but they come in at a certain moment. You get this ideation, and you're just kind of lost in the moment.
I mean, because
right?
they've already been there, because there's a male demon and a female sex demon that does take over people. What I'm saying is, when people consider that to be normal behavior,
right,
like that's not how it's supposed to be. If you have that sort of addiction, now I'm not saying that people can't have fun and enjoy themselves, but I'm saying when it's to the point to where you have to leave your wife because she doesn't want to, because you have to have this.
You're right.
That is a problem.
Right,
That's a spiritual thing going on with you.
It seems like almost, and I never really thought about this until probably UI Media Network experience, but it seems like almost every addiction, every serious addiction that we have, could be eating, could be any type of addiction, does not just be sex or drugs, it is has a spiritual component behind it.
Yeah, because if you look at the indigenous cultures, and even if you go even now some parts of South America, where if something happens, they attack it from a spiritual side immediately. They'll go to the village, the shaman. They'll bring the person in and they'll see what's going on. Even in the Native American culture, let's look at this from a spiritual side first. But here in the West, we disregard that, and we get medication, and we
don't even acknowledge energy. We don't want to part of our medical model.
Exactly,
energy, and this is the spiritual essence is energetic experience, something that you can't see, smell, touch.
And people say you're crazy, and what are you talking about, whatever. Because see, let me tell you this, I didn't choose to know about any of this. Like if you look at the story of Jonah from the Bible, when he tried to run, I ran. I tried to run back to my old life. I tried to fix everything. And the more I tried to hang on to my old identity, like it was like I went to the depth of the ego.
Right.
I was forced, like, no, you're not going anywhere. I'm not giving you back anything until you learn and see what I want you to learn, get the lessons I want. So so it's not me saying, oh, I thought this was cool or trendy and let me get into it. And I warn anyone who wants to go down a spiritual path without being called, because you can be grabbing the tiger by the tail. Absolutely. So no, I didn't. So I didn't choose this. This path and this knowledge was chosen for me.
Well, apparently, not just in the books like the exorcisms and things like that, but apparently there are ways to deal with these entities and energies that you are attached to you, that's feeding off on you, that's perhaps taking over subtle possession or more direct possession. And there are ways people could do. I mean, I have folks here who work here, I'm not going to mention any names, who have had these type of experiences where they're cutting off energies, and their animals are reacting to it,
Absolutely.
And so it's amazing how this is part of our reality, but yet it's not spoken to on Fox News or MSNBC or in our editorials, because people aren't. I mean, if it is, it's like a little fluke here and there. But
it's gone.
It's like this type of conversation should be a daily presence, a daily communication of, hey, what entities have you detached yourself today with? How did you do it? My God, hey, watch out for the school. This place is haunted with these energies.
Or
here,
certain people you shouldn't be hanging out with anymore with these sort of, even letting people in your home. Do you know if you properly bless your home? Well, cleanse first. You got to clear your home first, and that's a service I offer as well.
Oh, wonderful!
If you cleanse your home first and you protect it and anoint it, A lot of those people can't even come in your house.
So this
They-
brings back the
they-
vampire
they-
days,
they-
man. The
they-
vampires
that
got
they
to be
would-
invited into your house. These are like real mythology stories.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm like where's the I'm thinking, where's the garlic and my crucifix? Come on. You know?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, there's things that bad entities do not like. And if you
Yes.
bring them into your home, especially if you bless your home and do have certain objects that you need, they can't. That's why you got to remove all the things that are, inviting. So you have to be identify those. So you have to have someone like myself or yourself who know what these things are to help you and to guide you. And that's why I do what I do.
Right. Well, Tim, this is fascinating. You remind me of that. What was that vampire story with the vampire slayer? The old guy and the little kid and I can't remember the name. And he would have all his stuff here, and he had his show. And anyway, it was just this is like a new career. This is a new job description out there. Entity detacher, or instead of having like hospitals, we'll have detachment centers.
But you know what? You know what's funny? I'll tell you this.
What?
2 days before I knew I was coming here, I had a lot of things happen because they
didn't want you to come.
Didn't want me to come.
Right.
Last night, fire alarm at the home through the security system went off 3 times for no reason. No smoke in the house, just loud, just to wake me, aggravate me. Right as I was in the middle of putting some notes on my computer and kind of going over things, went off. The day before, my car almost didn't start. Like things were happening trying to prevent me from having this conversation with you today.
Right.
Because this stuff, they don't like when you talk about it.
No,
They don't like when you
Yeah,
expose what's going on and you let people, give people awareness and knowledge of what's happening. Oh, they don't want that.
No, they don't.
Absolutely.
Because they want everything to be status quo. They want everything to think like it's beyond, because that's when they can manipulate people and have their way. Literally feed off energetically, feed off of us on a daily basis. And all we have to do is claim our power of God and realize that we are of God. And we don't have to give our power away if we choose not to. So fascinating, Tim. Fascinating. So what's next for you here outside of getting a show on our network? Your work you're doing. It almost like this. I see like this cleansing and possession issue could be a full-time job.
Well, it can be, but
most people don't accept it as a reality.
They won't accept it. So right now, that's why I'm a New Thought life coach. Now I'm not a part of the New Thought movement or anything like that. Right. But I actually came up with the title because my gift gives me the ability to help you to see things from a different point of view, which give you a new way to think about it, which is a new thought. So that's why I go with that. Sure. But right now, I primarily focus on you. Give me a call. We do a consultation. If you're open to other services, I can provide them. But I don't primarily advertise that because a lot of people don't understand.
No,
and they'll think it's strange.
You have to have a dialogue first.
Yeah, they'll think it's
strange. It
strange.
wouldn't probably be your best marketing to lead with. I'm an energy detacher.
But there are people that do that.
Yeah,
but myself, I really don't, do that. Plus, I'm a comic too as well. But the funny part, I don't mix work and comedy, but I do like to have fun. I know today was a pretty serious talk between you. We haven't had joked around too much, but I just want to kind of get the information out there. But no, but that's my thing. So you go to my website, Cupid'sArrowFoundation.com,
and put that on the site too, Otis, if you haven't yet. Arrow. Oh, Cupid Arrow. Cupid's Arrow, of course. Yeah. Cupid's Arrow.
Yes, right.
Cupid'sArrowFoundation.com. And that's just fascinating. It's just amazing, like that general, how we have the power. We just don't realize we have the power because we give it over, and we allow these suckers to suck energy from us. And we don't have to. Okay. We have the ability to do whatever we want because we have that power of God within us and outside of us.
Now we have a little. Now we do gotta have a little fun before I go.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, what's your take on Bigfoot? And I'll tell you mine.
I think Bigfoot definitely exists. After Gen 6, I think I think there's alien entities and energies and that are beyond the veil that are here in our 3-dimensional world.
Okay, well this is what I think, and people can take, he's crazy. I think that Bigfoot was something that once lived here. The reason why everybody doesn't see him. The same, everybody doesn't see ghosts. Some people do.
Right. So fascinating. So they could probably still be here dimensionally, but
that's what I think.
Well, even the Bible talks about the Nephilim. These large creatures that roam the earth, right?
Because
the fallen angels created them by mating with the humans, right?
Exactly. But if they've been scouring the forest and they haven't found any evidence or whatever, and what I thought of, well, maybe it's because everyone doesn't see ghosts. Some people do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to continue the conversation, Tim, but we got to go. But guys, fascinating. Check out Tim Owens. He'll be here on the network. We'll see you then. More to come. Take care. Adios.
You have been listening to The Good Intention Show on the UI Radio Network. The Good Intention Show is sponsored by the United Intentions Foundation at unitedintentions.org. Look for us on Blog Talk, Spreaker, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, and many more. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under United Intentions, and on Twitter at Higher Intention. Be sure to log on to unitedintentions.org, a virtual community where you learn to create, track, and manifest your passions, one intention at a time. Have a wonderful day, and until next time, live life with intent. The United Intentions Foundation and its associates take no responsibility for the opinions and statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests.